It's Inside the Trenches, and we're going to keep this thing going. Hello, somebody. I got my man, CL Nola here, my co-host with the most. Y'all can check him out, man. And later on in the show, we're going to be joined by my man, JB, talk a little high school sports. But right now, I'm joined by my main man, Byron Cole. Y'all make sure y'all follow him at Byron Stephen Cole on Instagram. Very interesting guy, community leader. He loves New Orleans. He loves his people. But, man, thank you, bro, for coming on the show, bro, for real.
I appreciate you for having me. Great company.
No doubt, no
Great
doubt.
atmosphere.
I appreciate you, man. Brought the family through. How y'all doing over there once again? It's cool. It's cool. So, we were talking about a mutual friend that we know, Montrell Johnson. Montrell went to call with my son. I've been knowing the family for some years. So when we were off, he's like, man, I heard you talk about Florida with my man. They playing Tulane. We got to shoot Montrell out. You know, we got to get my man Montrell. So Montrell.
From around here.
New Orleans boy would be 3 years.
And I got to be clear because your show has a wide range. I didn't know little Montrell. I knew his daddy.
Correct.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And so one day, there was some hype about him on the news, and one of my people said, man, you know, that's Montrell's son. I said, Lord. And so I started asking Keita, you know, when he playing, what time, and so I could keep up with him, you know, kind of living vicariously through him. You feel me? I love seeing that for him.
Now, that's big time. I mean, he's having a successful time there. 3 seasons, 1,000-yard rushers, have over 3,000-yard season. Going to get drafted, you know, like that big boy we just saw. And they were on the same class, so I want to say Adonis might have came out 2 years before. But you and I, we met last year during Mardi Gras. I've heard of you before then, and you was like, yeah, man, I know you're from somewhere. We kind of, you know, knew some mutual people. Mm-hmm. But what I noticed about you, man, is your passion for the community. So I guess give us a background on you, man, your family. I know you're from across the river, but the Gentilly area?
7th Ward.
Okay. So, yeah, give our viewers a background about Byron.
So, you know, local New Orleans fella, you know, with all the positive mores and folkways introduced to me and exposed to me as a youngster. I know all the rules, you know. And the etiquettes of being a gentleman and the etiquettes of being a New Orleans gentleman. You know what I'm saying?
There's a difference.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah. And, you know, I grew up in an activist household. My mama voted 300 most influential New Orleanians ever by the city of New Orleans, wow. Mama D.
Okay.
And so, you know, that respect that she got came from a long resume of work, and you know, we admire and follow our parents. So I got a little bit of my daddy, a little bit of my mama, you know. And so I've been working with the youth specifically, trying to focus on them, you know, because adults have their minds made up usually, and the youth are malleable.
Mm-hmm. No, that's real. When you start, I'm glad you said that you have a passion for youth, and you and I were on the phone, we're talking about like youth sports in the city. Like, what inspired you to like want to really start an initiative to get the kids in the city, whether it's access to more equipment, whether it's access to you know, the limited resources that we have. You know, what's your thought process on how you can you know, get that going?
I was an alienated father, and I had to go through a court situation. And that prompted me to want to see my son whenever I could, so I became a basketball coach. Speaking of that, one of my son's teammates, I was one of his first coaches ever when he was in the first grade, Tamar Bates, that cut up and killed KU yesterday.
Come on.
Oh, wow.
Did you see that?
No.
29 points, 5 steals. Wow. KU #1 in the nation. And when I say he killed him, he killed him.
Come on, man.
Go watch the
points.
footage.
Yeah,
did you see it? Did you?
Well, no, I'm just hearing you 29 to 5. That's considered a kill.
And so his daddy had the same outlook on, you know, spending the quality time with his son, although he wasn't alienated. So we both came together and ran a basketball organization for the kids in Kansas City, where my kids were born, right?
Okay. Oh, okay.
And it was the KC Magic, and we won championships and whatnot. But the thing about Tamar is he was really in kindergarten or something when we first started. He wasn't even supposed to be on the first and second grade team.
Oh,
and so one day in practice, he tried to shoot a 3 and missed the whole goal and everything, right?
Yeah.
But I saw some tenacity in him, and his dad admitted today that I said, "Come here, coach." I said, "I'm gonna play him up." I said, because he just tried to shoot a 3. And the aim and the trajectory and everything was perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see what he do on a shorter goal with some, kids, And we played him up, and man, when I saw the work he did yesterday, I almost shed tears, really, just for his daddy. His daddy was a hands-on father,
Mm-hmm. That's big time.
Well, we definitely always can appreciate a guy that loves New Orleans. I'm a guy that loves New Orleans, and we always want to push forward the youth.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see vision-wise? What is your vision for the youth of New Orleans? Even if we're going to bring back the teen summit, and I'm showing my age right now.
I remember that.
Even if we're going to do something like, but what do you see your personal vision for the youth of New Orleans moving forward?
Oh man, it's expansive and it's burdensome.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So people like Fave do it, but kids don't do what they're told. They do what they see. Mm-hmm. And sometimes these guys are so intangible that it leaves a lot to the imagination, right? Mm-hmm. To be able to relate to a NFL player that won big games and know how he survives and copes and deals with his circumstances, you have to really see him. And then you have to really understand who they are, and then the bond is instantly available for him to lead him. And if he could get 4 more guys that had, pun intended, the favor he had in the NFL, right?
We're on a roll tonight.
Yeah. If I could get him and 3 more guys, and I don't want to call out anyone, but I've seen Saints NFL initiatives now that are filtered, meaning the player has the right intent, right? But once he throws the money, he's not there to manage it for real, and he doesn't see that it's disingenuous, right? And so the kids start to see it as a routine thing rather than how they could really be enriched by it. And oftentimes those efforts are stifled by admin costs and greed and other things, and the humanality of the people running it. And are they really the best ones designed to deal with this specific demographic of children, dealing with our colloquialisms and whatnot, you feel me?
I do understand.
But every time I've seen those major efforts coming from the NFL level here, when I was younger, I tried to go to them and see if I could be a part of anything, and they were all ran by things that I won't discredit because I don't want to speak in a pedantic tone to the Saints, but I would like to say that oftentimes the people running them weren't from here, right?
Yeah.
They didn't understand our kids and how to motivate them,
That's true.
right? And so when I tried to say, well, hey, I know you don't know me, right? But can I offer these things? It was more of a corporate effort, and then I was, they didn't need community involvement. And so what I need now is for you to corral Cam and them for me, right? Because I can take them to really where they can be effective for real.
Right.
And without making it punitive for the parents. See, what we do on the grassroots level is we don't just document that Johnny's dysfunctional. We understand it. And we also recognize the systemic factors that create it. The Supreme Court even, I thank them, I applaud them, they even came out and said that, mitigating circumstances are crucial when you're dealing with minors.
Right.
And so we see a huge problem in Orleans Parish and in other urban areas specifically where sometimes the mitigation is not recognized properly. And I don't mean once it gets to the stage of it being punitive. I mean when it's an implemental stage.
Yeah.
And how you going to ask how to motivate the little boys that come sit on my porch every day and I help them hustle and get their driver's license and give them money to go to the movies and whatnot without being able to relate to them. You got to have that guy.
And Byron making a good point. If y'all just tuning in, I have Byron Cole, community leader right here in New Orleans, been a staple of the city, family, everybody. He's made a good point. Byron knew this kid when he was 7, 8, 9 years old at the park.
Right.
A lot of these college scouts in these NFL teams, they don't get the kid till he's already made it. So when it's time for the kid to give back to the community, and that kid could be, and I'll drop names because it's a million of us here, a Leonard Fournette, a Drake
I know
Mavis,
Leonard's daddy Dookie off Frenchman Street, one of my partners.
See the connection? So, yeah. So, and Cam's a friend of the show. Cam came on. Like Cam would love to hear this. Oh, what school I should go to? Right. Oh, that charter school right there. Bet. Let me get my resources over there.
Well, me and Cam got off on the wrong foot because, I don't want to get into a different genre here, but I was asleep and I had a dream. My wife could tell you, and I woke up and she was like, "What's the matter?" I said, "God was talking to me about the youth, and a lot of things was going on." I said, "Cam Jordan was in my dream." So I saw him doing a youth thing on Instagram a few weeks later, and I went on there. I said, "Cam, God gave me a message to tell you, because I saw that they had redirected where they put him in a crucial time where that ain't where he needed to be. He needed to be over here."
Right.
And so I have video proof for a decade and a half now that when there's an altercation in back of town or somewhere in the 7th Ward, front of town, or St. Bernard, where people call me before they call the police, I have to ask them, "Did you call the police, man?" My man, it's a dude laying there, he shot Byron, right? And so I know what perpetuates that dysfunction, and we can work on that without embarrassing the families. But you guys, with your influence, can deal with the systemic issues. I am going to be very, very thoughtful with this statement, but when the boy from New Orleans caught the interception that won the Super Bowl, right? It was discouraging to me to look at the mild association that the NFL had with us and our parks and sustaining them. Right now, we still have parks that can't suit up because they don't have enough uniforms, right? And we really need some. Because I'm from here, I can't get my coaches mad at me. Yeah. They know the game, the X's and O's, but we need some help on dealing with the organizational side of it and bringing all of the entities together and let them understand, like the NFL does, that y'all might be the Cougars and y'all might be the Jaguars, but we the NFL, and without the shield, there's no fun or fruitfulness in any of it for anyone.
You see what he's saying, CL? Like, when you look at it from the perspective of the direction that they take with some of these deals, it's like a hit or miss thing if you don't really fully know the community.
Well, I grew up with Nord, so I'm aware of the drop off. Obviously, I deal with the NFL and the things that go on with the NFL, and I understand where the drop off is. I understand what Mr. Cole is saying. When you have the funding, you have the face, but they don't have the direction. Yeah. And they don't know how to attack the situation as is.
And most people don't know this, CL, but they gave us what we begged for, a community representative in Larry Barabino to come out, right? But Larry has no real power. The C, you experienced Nord, now it's Nord C. And the only change that us in the real streets can see that happened after the C was six-figure salaries. And now the parks are under-equipped. We don't have what we should have for it to really be a fruitful football environment, period. Right. We're shoestringing, Right. And, in a city that's had so much NFL success over the last 15 years, it doesn't match up. Because, see, I've been to Minneapolis. Seen some of the Vikings initiatives. I've been to North Carolina.
Forget about
it. You see what I'm saying? And so I want people to understand that, we could do better.
Yeah.
That's all. I won't speak harshly.
Well, because let's look at it from every level. It makes a lot of sense, right? The community is buying tickets. They're putting up, the small businesses, larger corporations are putting up money. So it's a cash cow being generated. Now I'm not saying that, Drew Brees didn't build something at New Orleans East Park. I forget Joe Brown. I'm not saying help do things like that, but it's more in depth. It's being able to teach these kids about group economics. It's about having, like we should treat them like a pro, like have resources, new jerseys, pads, and stuff like that. You have money 10 times fold to do that, And it does take folks like you in the community who's from here, who has experience with the young men and women, athletes in the area. Like, nah, this is what they really need.
Right.
You know, because like it's like the toy giveaway, right? We do this almost. I hadn't done it in years. I'm just dropping off. We guessing toys, and we going door to door, and we passing them out. I even dress up like Santa Claus sometimes.
For sure.
I don't know if that toy is what the kid really needs, right? So it's more about needs versus wants.
Yeah, well, so I'm trying my best to be my best self in this conversation, but I think the Boys and Girls Club has gotten so big that there's no intricacy in us really seeing that it can be all that it can be, right? And so what I'd like to see the NFL do is be more inclusive on having the players more hands-on in every host city, because we already know that the NFL is already controlling the politics in America, and that we already know that the NFL created the richest 3% of our nation while being a 501c3 and just recently switched. And so, and again, as a little boy, I grew up with my mama dating Jackie Wallace, who played in 2 Super Bowls with the Rams and the Vikings. And so I have nothing against, I love the sport and I love the NFL. I grew up in the training camps, the Rams, right? But there's so much more that can be done.
Well, you guys just giving me an idea. I mean, let's just flip the situation on itself. Let's make a valiant point to show that. Let's just think about all the NFL talent that comes from not just in Louisiana, not just the Louisiana area. Let's just Google it all the way down to New Orleans. Let's think about all the NFL talent that has went to the Super Bowl, that has played in the NFL, currently
We're number one in
the
the nation.
Thank you. And so you're
Yeah.
telling me that the facilities do not match the talent that has been given to us? That's a shame, and we should bring that to the forefront.
It's like we still running for freedom.
That's a shame.
And
I'm born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana, and that's nothing to be proud of.
And so, when you look at the fact that the parks filter the high schools, right?
Right.
They're already under-equipped. They're already set back. So all these people we send to the NFL just proving how cold we are.
Yeah, because we don't have all the resources. Most, like you said, what are the young men and women in Minnesota have over we? They probably have better facilities.
When I was in the 9th grade, I kept trying to get an alley-oop, right? Kept trying to get an alley-oop. And the same little suburban kids that I was playing open gym with, they kept telling me, man, you got to come by our gym and get on the leaper. And I was like, man, what do you mean, the leaper? What are you talking about? Man, I went over there and you ever seen the leaper?
Yeah, the Vertimat. Yeah.
I went over there and got on the leaper for about 3 weeks. And right after that, my first tip-in ever.
Yeah.
It's exposure to...
The resources, be bringing that word back up, right? Like limited resources.
Yes.
Well, in Minnesota, by the grace of God, I've been to Minnesota, and it's all connected tram wise, and it's an amazing area. Love it to death.
Minneapolis is a major city.
Major city. But if you've ever just seen Texas sports, there's high schools that rival universities in the state of Louisiana with the facilities and the back and the funding. So, and that's just right next door. So you can only imagine what it's like up north, where they actually care about education and funding and all this other shit. So, you got me going now. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the motivation.
Look, I'm a fan. I watch y'all show. And every now and then, I'd like to be able to look and see y'all doing some initiatives from the heart. Don't throw money at it, Fave. You feel me?
Real talk.
Walk out. They know who you are. You know what I'm saying? Anybody playing ball that's 15 or older knows who you are. You know what I'm saying? And you can still be very effective, but it has to be hands-on.
No, I like that. I like that challenge. And I know I'm one person, but at the same time, one person sparks 10. 10 people spark 20, and I think that's something we could probably do. Maybe Tarek, that's a good idea. Maybe we could start like a little campaign on the show, and I'll DM all of this stuff to the NFL players that I know and see if they want to help out, because this area does generate a lot of great athletes. We were just talking about Edna caught Shaw and all those teams out in the state championship.
Let me say something to add on to that. I've had exposure to some real cats from New Orleans that were in the NFL, right? And they helped me out with my programming, came to my mentor events, right? Kendrick Lewis, thank you, K-Lou.
Oh, very welcome.
Yes,
Came when he
sure.
played for the Chiefs to my mentor program in Kansas City when I was coaching, right? And one of my little players on the second, third grade team stood up and asked him, "How come the Chiefs don't never come to my school?" And inadvertently, he wasn't, speaking maliciously or trying to throw anybody under the bus. He informed us that the NFL, via the Chiefs, had told him where he could go and where to stay away from, right? But when you open up the newspaper, where them kids is having the most heinous problems is not where they going.
Not where they're going.
And so, are we really being effective, or are we playing like we're being effective?
Right.
That part. That's just real talk.
Well,
And he's not the only NFL player that's admitted that to me. They say, "B, they don't want us to go over there."
Yeah, it is.
It be in their contracts and everything. I'm telling you.
well, it's a $9.9 billion business. We would
Yes.
be fools to think that they don't have initiatives of their own and in a direction that they want to concentrate on, because if it bleeds, it leads. And this year's Super Bowl, we're all the people in New Orleans, and I spent enough time in New Orleans to see the gradual difference that's been coming, because we know the Super Bowl is coming. So we can play like we don't know, but in the reality, we all know. And the question is, what are we gonna do to make the difference?
And I was talking with some of my members. Boy, I might be getting myself in trouble who would be here, because once I tell them, I am a member of the NFLPA, the local chapter, here for the former players, and we do some stuff. We went to, not Bridge House, the Mission down there off
New Orleans Mission?
Yeah, we went there, and we saw the resources that they had for the homeless there. They had like doctors and dentists, and they served breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Aretha Castle Haley. And those are some stuff for the homeless, but like you said, let's prevent youth from becoming homeless one day and figure out that. And I don't want to bite off more than I can chew, so in order for me to really get this initiative going,
we really need from you. So listen, why all those professional players have helped me out in the past is we don't want no money, man. You have something worth far more than that to us. It's influence, right?
Yeah.
That's what we need. If you can help us with that, that would be great. And I got something to ask you, since you got a little something with the NFL going on. I was a guest speaker at the NFL MVP Awards.
Come on.
The year Jackie Wallace led the league in punt returns.
Come on.
And I would like to get that video. I know NFL
That's NFL films, yeah.
But you can direct me.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Sables have passed over the years. The daddy and the son.
He is an encyclopedia, ain't
I
he?
told you, yeah, you know his stuff, yeah.
But that could be a phone call, because ultimately somebody took over.
Somebody has. I mean, I know.
They don't throw nothing away.
I would
That's
love
for
to
sure.
show that
That's
to my
for sure.
sons, man.
Yeah.
When I did the
Really?
broadcast boot camp, it was Greg Cassell, I want to say. That's over. He's still over the NFL.
Greg Cassell?
film.
Okay.
It was either 76 or 77,
Okay.
and the other guest was Bill Cosby.
Wow.
Well, they can definitely find
That's
that.
cool.
That
Yes.
makes it easy.
So you're born in New
Conrad
Orleans.
Hilton, Chicago, Illinois.
You were born in New Orleans.
Methodist Hospital from the 7th Ward.
And
I
then,
live in the same house I was brought to,
come on.
my great-grandmother's house.
That's cool.
Right.
Now, what about how many years you spent in Kansas City?
About 20 in 2 or 3 different
different
spurts.
times.
Okay, like 5 here, another
So
10. I got
let me
you.
tell you something, and I'm gonna go ahead, and since you get a lot of viewers, I want to go ahead and let everybody understand what was really going on. My mother, I just told you about her prowess. Well, my daddy is Dr. Cecil Cole, right? And he's been making 6 figures since I was before I was born. Okay, and so my parents unfortunately couldn't work out, and they had a custody battle, right?
Right.
And it was very tumultuous, and I'm going to explain it with a quick little synopsis. I went to kindergarten at Lil Woods. Then I started first grade at Shawano in a suburb in Kansas City. And I was there for about 3 months. And one day somebody said, your mama's here. And I was like, not my mama. And she was like, yeah, I am. Come on.
Go back to New Orleans.
she had one or whatever. And, what she was doing was legal. And so then I came back here and enrolled in St. Pius.
Okay.
I went to St. Pius until I went to Christian Brothers. And then my daddy won again when I was in the 6th grade at Christian Brothers. And I wound up going up there to a school called Mill Creek for 6th grade, right? And part of 7th grade. And then one day somebody said, man, your mama's here. And I knew to believe it that time. And I shut my locker like, you ever seen Juice?
Yeah.
When he shut the locker, my mama was right there.
And Bishop was standing right there?
Yeah, and my mama left. Maybe, she didn't have me pack to go to get none of my clothes or nothing. We just went straight to the airport and left. Yep. But then when I got back here, I told her I didn't want to do that no more, so I went to St. Aug. And then the very last time that the court case affected me, my daddy won again. And when I look back on it, I'm very grateful because when I went back this time in 11th grade, he was in a place where he wanted to expose me to things and get me ready to be a man. So, I've been to Tel Aviv and I've been to Haifa and we went to Israel and we went to Egypt and we went to Hawaii and Puerto Rico and everywhere, And so I had a pretty weird upbringing because my mother was that lady in New Orleans, right, on a civic level, and my daddy was that man in Kansas City, lived in a nice suburban, real nice area, right?
Right.
And so I always tell people that I got to see dysfunction at its core and how the people who don't have to worry about that escape that dysfunction and a whole bunch of other things in between.
No doubt, man.
I've been around. I counted one day. I've been in like 18 schools before college.
Wow, that's crazy.
We did Kansas. We played Kansas City this year, so I experienced Kansas City for the first time this year. I can distinctly tell you the difference. Just in Kansas City, Missouri, and then Kansas City. So I can only imagine, what you went through in the two different worlds because I somewhat came up like that.
Well, it's like New Orleans across the river.
Yeah. It's literally. Yeah. You throw a baseball.
Well, B, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. He's Byron Cole. Y'all make sure y'all follow him. At Byron Stephen Cole on Instagram. Very interesting page. My brother, thank you so much. We got to get you back on, bro. You got to hold me accountable for that initiative. We live, so help me out on that.
Come back every 4 months and see what we have done. And I don't just want to hold you accountable. I want to assist you.
That part too. Nah, that's what I'm saying. Let's do it, man.
For sure.
It's Inside the Trenches. We'll be back, baby. Hello, somebody.
Thank you.